Welcome back, friends. Another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. This YouTube channel is dedicated to helping players improve their Bannerlord campaign and skill through the use of superior tactics, military tactics, that is the movement of troops on the battlefield. Today I've got another battle against the Western Empire. It looks like we'll be significantly outnumbered as usual. They are besieging one of my castles down here. And knowing the map here, I think it should be another good opportunity to employ some tactics, either potentially flanking tactics or additional examples of what a tactic I've introduced recently called the Killbox. The Killbox, for people who haven't seen the other videos, first, what's wrong with you? You should be checking out these tactics to dominate your game. But in all seriousness, folks, I think this is a tactics. As the enemy brings in, it looks like even more forces to attack here. This is a tactic you can use to fight even if you're outnumbered and really just utterly lay waste to the opposition. We'll see what the map layout here is, but at a minimum we'll be able to show you some interesting tactics here. As usual, continuation of my campaign update. We are outnumbered, outgunned, out-attacked by everybody. For this battle we're going to use normal player damage. We're slightly outnumbered, but with superior tactics I think it's the enemy that's in a real shitstorm here. So it looks like it's started us quite a distance away from the enemy, and a lot of times I like to use this upper right area here for an elevational flank attack, but I think we're too close. Okay, so you can see the distance there. My troops are too far behind me to be able to position on that ridge in time to get set up with a good defensive force. It's hard to know always at the beginning of a battle, even when you're outnumbered, if the enemy's going to attack or not, but just in case they are going to be aggressive, I think, you know, with this ridge here, this looks beautiful for Killbox. Let's put, so we're going to put archers up on the hill here, 4th and 5th divisions. Our skirmishers, we're putting on a line there on that ridge to the right. The skirmishers have javelins and throwing weapons. I'm also going to put the horse archers up there just because I have these extra troops. I'll be trying to do a little bit more slow-mo. I understand people trying to learn. You know, I speak rather quickly, actions happening rather quickly. I will try to use more slow-mo, and maybe I can do less caffeine so people can understand exactly what I'm trying to describe. Of course, you can always pause and go back in the video, but it's nice if people don't have to do that too much. So what we're going to be doing here is effectively baiting the enemy in. We're going to use a cavalry square, and we're going to have troops effectively surround the enemy vanguard as they come in and attack it on 3 sides, right? So the cavalry, the 3rd cavalry, will be in a square. Now the 2nd cavalry is up on that hill, and they're in line formation. Now their sole job right now is to prevent their enemy cavalry from just charging us and demolishing our archers up on the hill, right? If the enemy cavalry gets into your backfield and just starts, here they are right here. This is actually just archers. But if the enemy heavy cavalry gets in and really does a lot of damage and disruption to your archers, obviously their effectiveness is greatly reduced, right? So that 2nd cavalry, that's strictly in a defensive line to hold the enemy back. And at least for the moment, the enemy is rushing in aggressively. We can use that aggression against themselves, right? We're going to effectively allow them to rush right in cockily into the bait, into the maw of our trap here. Alright, so the 2nd cavalry is there in a line. That's not going to stop the infantry, but it will slow down their horses. Right, horses will get entangled on that and kill a few of these stragglers coming through. My 3rd cavalry right there is actually in a line right now. I will switch them to a square if and when the enemy comes into this area. Now, if you can look at this area, there's a hollow center here. That's where I want their infantry to go, right? That's where I'm baiting them. And if they come in there, they are going to be fucking annihilated. And look, they are charging in this direction. Alright, so moving the 3rd cavalry into a square, that'll help distract against the enemy cavalry. You see the enemy cavalry is coming in. What I'm going to be doing when this enemy comes into this square, or into this hollow area, is attack with 5 or 6 different divisions all at once. I will actually drag these cavalry units back to me with the F1, F2 command. Here they come. So we're hammering them with projectiles, and as soon as they're in here, we'll attack with those 2 cavalry divisions, the 1st, 6th, and 8th infantry. Meanwhile, the archers are raining death from above, right? I actually want them to continue to come in. Look at all the javelins flying from my troops. Before they even get in, they're probably knocked back 20 to 30% from all the projectile damage. Still, it's a large force. They probably outnumber us. So here it comes. I'm doing a little bit of slow-mo. 3rd and 2nd cavalry, I call to follow me, right? And what that does is it brings them up behind the enemy infantry, sort of closing the vice of this trap. Meanwhile, the 1st, 6th, and 8th all get told to attack and charge at the same time. And look at us just converge on this mass of the enemy. And I mean, you can't get a worse massacre than this, right? I think they got 1 kill there. One of their lords got a kill. The rest of them are just utterly massacred by troops on 4 or 5 different sides. Look at their enemy cavalry's cut off, right, by those blocks. They can't really get in to assist their troops. Their archers, meanwhile, are on the other side of this battle, not really part of the fight, right? We're fighting the enemy in detail, and that was about as complete a massacre of an enemy vanguard as you can have. I don't know if I've ever had one quite that nasty. And, I mean, they were utterly annihilated. So they're fleeing. They're not actually fleeing in this case. It looks like they're fleeing in real life. Troops that got massacred like that would be fleeing. They would realize that, you know, that they're up against superior firepower, superior brain power than their commander. They're more than likely reforming here. So we're going to pursue. What I want to do, though, is I want to maintain this high ground. Okay, so there they are. The enemy's down there. It looks like they still have 500 plus troops, right? So this is going to be a multi-stage battle, but the key to this battle has already been accomplished. We have completely destroyed their elite troops without really causing serious damage to our own. Right? So I'm going to bring my troops up. I want to keep this high ground. Kill these little stragglers here. I'm going to keep this high ground. The cavalry here is strictly in shield wall to absorb sort of arrow attacks as my other troops catch up. And what we're going to do when everybody catches up here is we're going to use this high ground and effectively create another flanking destructive attack on the enemy. I want to get my troops kind of positioned to the left here, up on that hollow area you can see. But to do that, they're going to be under fire from the enemy. So this is another example of how I'm going to use my cavalry as a screen. Right, we'll be moving the cavalry forward in a shield wall. I'm get off this horse here, show you from foot. Some of you guys want more videos of me on foot. I'm glad to provide that because I actually prefer fighting on foot. It is harder, but I think it's more instructive to folks. All right, so this is a blur. I'm sorry. Sometimes I do things fast and forget that people are watching. What I did there is I moved both of my cavalry divisions into shield walls, and they are effectively distracting and blocking arrows, while I put all of my ranged troops, the 4th, 5th, and 8th Division, with skirmishers beneath them on the left flank. Meanwhile, I'm moving the infantry, the 1st Division, on the enemy's left, our right. So you see the cavalry up there blocking. I see enemy cavalry over that ridge too. Okay, so I want to bait and destroy that enemy cavalry too before we commence the rest of this attack. I'm going to effectively try to fight this battle in like the most perfect manner I can. So I told the cavalry to move back. Now I'm having him follow me. And all I'm doing is we are completely pinching this enemy cavalry in a savage way. Now they are stuck between our cavalry and our 6th, 4th, and 5th corps. They're getting destroyed by arrows. My skirmishers are attacking them. And again, it's another massacre, right? They just got completely trapped, shot to pieces by arrows. Meanwhile, their infantry is down there, and they have to be quaking in their boots at this point. In real life, guys will be urinating. They realize that death is imminent, right? This is a very disastrous situation for the enemy. Again, I don't know if we lost a single troop in that encounter. Their 40 or 50 cavalry is destroyed. So onward with the rest of the prey, right? We know their prey. We smell blood in the water. I've got my 1st and 3rd cavalry on the right flank, and we're advancing them. Meanwhile, the 2nd cavalry is in front. The archers are still raining death, right? That's the key of the high ground. If they can shoot over our troops, the enemy can't reach those archers very well. Right, so now all we're doing here is closing the noose. Right, I've got cavalry blocking. I'm going to bring the 6th infantry, which is skirmishers, down to this lower plateau. Look at all these free javelins. See, the enemy loves to throw javelins at your horses. Well, the great thing is that a lot of those shots hit horses. They hit shields. They're not hitting your troops. Right? I didn't tell you, but I just sent the cavalry through there just a pass-by attack. All I wanted to do is disrupt their forces while I moved the rest of my forces up. You can see the 6th. I'm moving the 6th skirmishers closer. That cavalry's just sitting there in their face, right, to absorb arrows, to distract the enemy, so that we don't get attacked, right? Now that they're sort of disrupted, interrupted, we send in the 6th, 1st, and 3rd divisions all at the same time. And the enemy, again, they're in a panic. Half of their guys are fading back. Their infantry's coming up and just getting sawed to pieces. The cavalry's charging. They've got a few cavalry on our right wing, or our left wing rather, but it's not really going to amount to anything. We can put cavalry in there to counter that. But at this stage, I'm going to continue to hold the high ground. Even though that was a devastating attack, I do see they have a big wall of shields in there, so we're gonna thin that down before we finish this next couple phases. Like I said, I'm going to try to fight this battle in sort of an exemplary manner, where we have as few losses as possible. We're facing 2,400 troops. Like a really good result would be winning with 200 losses, maybe 300 losses. Maybe you've had battles like that. We're going to try to win with like 100 losses or 50 losses. So again, putting up my ranged troops on that edge. As long as we have that high ground, we're going to keep it, right? The enemy's shooting uphill, they're running uphill, their cavalry has to go uphill. There's many advantages to holding the high ground, right? Your troops move downhill faster. You can see they are shooting at our troops, but a lot of their shots are just hitting our infantry and the cavalry that I have up there in the shield wall. Right? I don't see any death being recorded from our troops up there. The other thing, of course, that's happened, they're still raining arrows down on them, too. Those Battanian Fianchamps with their 2 bags, 2 quivers of arrows are just deadly. The other thing that's happening at this stage is the enemy is down to like their middle tier troops. We still have elite troops on the battlefield. We have our noble type troops. Our 8th Corps is probably largely undamaged. I haven't even mentioned them. The elite 8th Corps is still part of this battle as well. But there's just been so much effective use of troops that it hasn't mattered. Right, so you can tell what's going on here. I've got infantry advancing on the enemy's right flank. The cavalry are shifted over to behind the enemy, and then everybody gets sent in at the same time. I don't want the enemy to retreat without suffering serious losses. So in we fly. Right, we're going to lop off a few more heads, completely destroy morale, take off some arms. And as the enemy tries to reposition here, that cavalry came up from behind him and just totally devastated many of their troops. Right, the 1st infantry are still steamrolling through. In battles like this, I will try to slow it down just so you can see what's going on. This new dismember mob helps. I've got this new mod that a subscriber recommended, where sort of randomly heads and arms and body parts fly off, which is appropriate, right? Like people. You need to understand that battle is violent, right? Like this is going to be a thing. If you don't like the gore, well, maybe there's a nice PG channel out there that'll help you with your tactics. So we're advancing. At this stage, I've got all the cavalry on just F1, F3. They're on a permacharge because I just want the enemy disrupted while our forces move in for the kill here. Right? I've got 5 divisions of infantry and archers just charging through in a huge line. And I've got the cavalry disrupting. Right? I'm not letting the enemy archers get to a point where they can stand and shoot. Of course, I'm in a little deep myself here. I tend to have that happen when a battle's going well. I just go in and lop off a few more heads. And you got to be careful doing that. But when a battle's going like this, sometimes the correct stage of attack is an incredibly aggressive attack. Right? Do not let the enemy catch their breath. Don't let them set up their archers. Don't let them reform their reinforcements. Just come in, guns blazing, damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead, and lay waste. Right? The momentum is all ours. You see an occasional archer shooting here and there, but for the most part, the enemy is running. Right? Either a combination of fear, units have routed, or in many cases they're trying to reform their ranks, but they're not given enough time because our cavalry is in there rampaging and our infantry is right behind the cavalry. Right? The enemy at this stage, in real life, this is just a full rout where the enemy, everybody throws down their weapons and puts their hands in the air and prays that the enemy takes mercy on them. Yeah, I've got no mercy for the enemy. These are digital pixels. We're in this to destroy the enemy down to the last man. Let's come in here and just kill them all. A little Marilyn Manson with body parts flying around seems appropriate. You're all going to die down here. I can't believe they haven't routed me. Usually an enemy that's being steamrolled like this is out of here. Look at, they're actually turning to fight. Hey, be careful, I'm going to get killed. I mean, my men are 100 yards behind me, just in here ripping arms off left and right. Well, hopefully this demonstration again showed you the awesome power of the Killbox. Again, the Killbox is something that I've introduced recently to the channel. It's a tactic that I I didn't create it, of course. At this stage, pretty much of warfare, every single idea has been put forth already on the battlefield. But I modified it a little bit for use with Bannerlord, and I think it's a tactic that you guys would be able to use in your game, provided you watch the instructional videos, watch some of the lead-up videos to it. I have a whole series of videos that are essentially just how-to manuals to elevate your tactical field command to this point, and then you too can massacre your opponent. I appreciate everybody who's watching, all the comments, all the subscribers, anything you might have to say positively or negatively. I'm willing to hear feedback. Thanks again for watching.